Hello and welcome to another episode of Grease Garage, where we're doing something very different today. As you can see, we've got the ugly child of the Skyline world, the R33. But this guy has spent big money, and in today's episode we are putting a custom intercooler on here, a GTR intercooler, because this has a GTR engine.
You heard that correctly, a GTR engine in a non-GTR Skyline. Now why would you do this? That's right, imagine all that power, the extra throttle response, it's a bigger engine, and you're putting it into a rear-wheel drive car. That means it's lighter than the all-wheel drive counterpart.
Now for you guys that don't know what an RB26 is, that means this is a 2.6 litre, dual overhead cam, twin turbo, 6 throttle bodies. It's a bit of a monster. This doesn't actually come in this car. Usually what these have is the 2.5. Now, we got to run an intercooler. This car was never meant for this intercooler, so we have to chop, weld, and try and make that huge thing fit in this car. So this is going to be quite a journey. Now while that Skyline's getting put up in the air, we're just going to show you all the things that my mate Gaffney has taken off. Gaffney, come in here, buddy. So this is my mate Gaff, and he has worked diligently trying to get this all out. Fuck. I said that wrong, didn't I? Diligently, yeah. We're just going to show you everything that he has taken off. So he's taken off the fans, the coolers, the horns, all that sort of stuff. And up here we've got the stuff from our GTR, and then we've got our aftermarket piping that we're going to make the intercooler with. But we'll see how we go, because I've never done this before. So this is like a journey. It's going to be fun.
And the best way to start a journey is with a little bit of drama. And of course, buying aftermarket parts, this thing is not fitting at all. So it's just the bracket, and this thing does seem very big for this car. We bent the bracket up and we retested it, and as you can see, it is fitting good. You will notice we put rubber on the frame, and the reason we've done that is just to protect the intercooler while we're getting everything into place. We then get some cardboard, we cut it up, and we cover the front of the intercooler, because now we are putting in the brace bar. Now of course the factory brace bar isn't going to allow us to fit this massive intercooler in, so we have to chop this up, which means angle grinder. But before we get to that thing, we need to make sure that we get a nice straight line so we don't have to go back and recut this again.
Alright, so we've got this on. It's looking good. Next thing we got to do, well, first off, I'm going to remove this. I'm going to get Gaffney in here, and he's going to start pulling off the return valves, because we're not going to have a return system. We're just going to have intercooler coming out into the intercooler, and then intercooler piping coming back in, and then we'll look at putting blower valves and all that sort of stuff back in. So let's get to it.
So the idea is to get everything out of the way so we can get our big bulky drills in here and actually drill these holes out. Now I'm going to tell you, putting hole saws through car bodies are very hard, and usually it doesn't work out unless you got the right hole saw. So when you're at the shop thinking, do I really want to spend that extra 20 bucks in getting the right hole saw? Yes, spend it. Otherwise, it's most likely to turn around and bite you in the ass. Now the piping we're using is 3-inch, which means we need a 3.5 or around thereabouts hole saw to actually drill a hole big enough to get a piping through. The reason we do this is to allow 1, movement, and 2, enough room to add a little bit of knock protection around the body of the car, so when the intercooler pipe does hit it, it's not going to damage up too much.
Now before we go any further, we need to talk about what we're making the intercooler piping out of. Now on this car, we made the intercooler piping out of stainless steel. But usually when you buy an aftermarket sort of intercooler set, you're going to get aluminium. Now why are we going stainless steel again on this Skyline? Well, it's because of these following reasons.
First off, one could argue strength being the major factor to choose stainless steel. But in my mind, the first reason would be the actual ease to work with. If you're a beginner, I would recommend stainless steel hands down. It is super forgiving, especially when it's time to bring out the welder. No special AC TIG welder is needed. For the intercooler piping, a MIG or a 50 to 100 amp DC TIG welder will get the job done every time. Prep on stainless steel is normally just deburring it and making sure you have no gaps between the two pieces of metal you're about to weld. And best of all, you can give the welder to someone, you can point them in the right direction, and they should be able to pump out some pretty awesome welds without too much experience, which brings me to reason number 2. The finished product always looks amazing with very little effort. You'll see me later on use the buffing wheel and give this thing a really nice finish. And 3, it's rub and knock resistant. You can whack this stuff pretty hard and it's going to have no effect, which works really well in an engine bay. Okay, now that we've got that other side done, I'm going to now try and work out how we're going to get this through that hole. Now, there's a couple things I do want to talk about real quickly. First off, these look like mandrel bends, and they are classified as mandrel bends, but really what they are is like a compression bend. So this has been a machine, it's been stretched, and the reason why I want to mention that is because if you can put your hand over something like this and you can feel that it's bumpy, that means it's just going to give you a lot more trouble to try and get this to match up, which if you have a look at the other one I did, you're going to see that I still have a lot of work to get that to match up really, really nice. Next thing is, the intercooler is still a bit loose, as you saw. Gaffney has been so kind, he's got some nice flat plate, and he's bent it up, and we're going to weld that to the intercooler, and then we've found some threads in the body, and we're just going to use them to bolt up some bolts, and that should fix that up nicely. Now, I'm pretty sure it's obvious to everyone this is definitely going to be the harder side. Couple of reasons why. I got to watch out for that washer bottle, I got to try and get into that throttle body, and I got to watch out for that band as well. Now, what would really help is having some pie cuts here. You know, we can get tighter bends doing that. I am using what I'm being given, and what I've been given is these standard bends, and we're going to make this work. It just means I have to spend a bit more time making sure that I get this right.
Now here's a quick little trick for you guys. If you need to cut something again, but you know there's nothing to clamp it in, what I like to do is I like to tack on a straight piece of pipe onto the bend, and that way I can clamp it, get this back down, and then I can cut just a tiny little bit off on a little bit of a different angle. It's a great little trick, and it really pulls you out of any strife you might get yourself into, because really, once you get rid of this, there's nothing to clamp this to, and you're never going to get your angles right. So, there you go. A top tip for you guys. That's worth a subscribe, isn't it?
Look guys, I know that was cringe, but I gotta ask it. I can see a lot of you coming back, re-watching my stuff, but you're not hitting the subscribe button. So please do. Anyway, as you can see, in Gaffney's shed, I'm not super comfortable. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pack everything up, move to my place, and we're going to finish off this piping.
Alright, now, I like to have my welds easy access, so in the vise, you can use aluminium or you can use one of the old gloves to hold it so you don't scratch it. And what I like to do is I like to use 2 hands, so I put this over my neck, like that, and I get there and then I can do this. I can walk the TIG welder with the 2 hands, and that just helps it out a lot. I am using pure argon, and actually I'm a little bit high. My peak current's turned down to about 33, and my starting is around 25. So now that's good. We're going to start it. First things first, I'm going to make sure that this is nice and sharp, and then we'll walk it, and it's going to look really, really awesome.
Now this is a warning to all you guys out there. What I'm doing here is I'm sharpening my TIG end, but this stuff is radioactive. That's right. When you sharpen this up, it's going to give you radioactive dust coming off it. So you got to be really cautious about breathing this stuff in, and it also building up. Now frankly, if that scares the absolute crap out of you, there is other options. As you can see, there is a gold tip option that is a lot safer and still will get the job done right.
Alright, as you can see, we've got a gap here, and we want to make this look as nice as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to now weld backwards, just to get as close to this as possible. So when I'm actually welding this bit, the heat sinks into the metal a lot quicker, and this means it's just more controllable. We're not going to get it too hot. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of stainless steel rod, which is here, and we're just going to add that a little bit in there, and we should be able to fix this up and make it look quite nice.
Now, seems a picture is worth 1,000 words. Let's just go through it right now. As you can see, I'm welding up towards that hole as much as I can before getting too close to it, and then I'm going to wait for the metal to cool down. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my filler rod, and I'm going to slowly add a little bit of that into that hole so I can patch that up. The last thing to do is then do multiple runs over that weld to make the weld look like it's uniform.
So as you can see guys, this is what it looks like after a quick 2-hour polish. No, just joking. It was only about 30 minutes and it's come out pretty good. But the thing is, even though this has come out good, I haven't welded here because what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this here and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to, well, pretty much grind the insides of these welds because I've had to use filler rod. So as soon as you use filler rod, you're going to get stainless steel rod actually going inside, and I'll show you that in a second. So let's separate it with a Dremel, then I'll use my Dremel and I'll grind them all out and we should have a perfect pipe, hopefully. We'll see.
Grinding a tack is easy enough, but what I should have done before I even touched it is marked it with some permanent marker, not what I'm using here, which is whiteboard marker, which I'm going to wipe off nearly straight away. Now you guys can see from this close-up how bad that penetration has been. Lucky for us, stainless steel is super forgiving, and so is grinding it. So what I'm going to get is my grinder, my homemade extension. We're going to use a nice thick grinding disc, and we're going to grind those welds back to make them look nice. Very little effort, and it comes out looking really good. Now that's done, it's ready to weld it back together.
Alright, so as you see, those have come out really good, nice and smooth, and what I've done then is I've gone over them with this, and this just helps smooth them out just a little bit more. You don't need to do that, but I just like to try and finish it off a bit better if I can. Now, we're going to TIG weld this, and the idea is, as I said before, because these are the best matching ones, we should be able to weld this up without using any filler rod. Now the first thing to do is obviously get a good tack. So what I'm going to do, where I've tacked it before, I'm going to hit that spot again and it should mount a lot easier. I know I said it before, but now wish me even more luck because I cannot stuff this up. There is no going back. Fingers crossed, let's do this.
So even though there's no gap between those two pieces of pipe, there still is a bit of warpage. So I'm using my vise to try and get these things as straight as possible. This is going to help me with the TIGging process. If I can get these all perfect, then the weld is going to be really uniform and it's going to look mint. And that is what's meant to happen, but unfortunately this is the real world and things don't always go to plan, and that is what's happened. As you can see, I came up to a spot, I had to use filler rod, which means I have to now cut that pipe back open and then re-weld it, which is incredibly frustrating, but it's just one of these things. I've chopped it, I've re-welded it, and this has gotten us to this point.
Well, looks like we've dodged a bullet. I was able to cut that and weld that without any filler rod. I've looked through it and we are smick. Now, if you ever find that you've backed yourself into a corner like this and you're on a straight, I could have just cut this here and we could have just used the silicone joiner. But I did want it to make it one piece. I am lucky. That had me worried. All right, so now they got my helmet on, that's sharpened up, got the gas on, and we've got an earth connected to our table here, our welding table. What are we welding? Now, as you can see, these end bits, these are cast aluminium, and look, not for beginners, guys. If you want to get to the stage of welding this, you really need to practice on your normal aluminium, which is just plated aluminium or just bare aluminium, which is what this bit here is, and what this is. So this isn't cast. What's great about this is it's already been scratched up. It looks clean. Now, a couple of other things you need to worry about is obviously aluminium. It has its own protective like layer on it. And the best thing to do is before you weld, it's best to scratch it off if you can before welding. Now, look, this is pretty clean. I'm happy just to try and give this a go without cleaning it and just to see how we go. If I find that it's producing a bit of black crap or, you know, something's coming up, what I'll do is I'll stop, I'll scratch it up, maybe go over it with a bit of thinners or something like that just to get it really clean. And then you'll find it will weld a lot better. But hey, let's just try it. Let's just see what happens if we don't clean up and we just give it a weld.
Now, for you guys that are new to this, we are welding this in AC, alternating current with a TIG. So on my welder, what I can do is I can swap from alternating current to direct current depending on what metal that I'm actually welding. Amp wise, I'm using between 80 to 102 amps to get this done. The techniques I like to use here is heat up the thicker and wider piece of metal first, which is the intercooler, and then heat up your bracket and then add your filling rod in whenever you see your puddle. I'm really happy to say that this came out really well. It didn't take much effort at all, and I was able to get some pretty solid welds on this aluminium.
How good does that look? We've got the intercooler done, we've got the intercooler piping done. The next question is, will this fit in the car? Let's go find out.
This should go without saying, but your mum isn't going to come around and clean your intercooler and your piping. You gotta do it yourself. Now, if you've been grinding, welding, or doing anything around intercooler piping, you need to wash it out. So we're using high pressure water, and then we're blowing it out with high pressure air. Once it's dry, we are then trying to install on the car to see if we've done a good job, or this whole thing has just been a total waste of time.
What do you guys reckon? Did it come out all right? I think it's come out awesome. Now, as you can see, we have taken so much crap out of this and we've just gone directly to the intercooler, directly back into the engine, which obviously being a bit more shorter distance, it's going to make it a bit more efficient on spooling up and all that sort of stuff. But I'm stoked. That's come out awesome. And it's just such a big intercooler. He's never really going to have problems in the future with power levels and beam restriction. 3-inch in, 3-inch out. It's really a beast of a setup. So again, what do you guys think? Leave a comment, like and subscribe, share to your mates, and I will see you on the next one.